Thank you so much for tuning into the Woman to Woman podcast, a conversation for women like you, smart, successful, curious, and interested in being your best self. Join both Sarah and I as we discuss topics that women our age are actually interested in, with both of us being candid and often having differing views.
As coaches, we sprinkle in advice and tips, along with humor and vulnerability. We hope you feel like a fly on the wall with two friends. Let's entertain and inform you and welcome you into our friendship.
We appreciate you pressing play and spending some time with us, wherever you are in the world.
Let the magic happen.
In today's episode, Sarah is sharing one event that happened which triggered anger for her, but that response was so unexpected that it really surprised her. And as the conversation goes on, I share a very similar moment. And that's where we begin to talk about boundaries, respect, and integrity. With the flow of the conversation, we both end up sharing some motherhood tips if your child is sneaking into bed at night or scared. Just grab a cup of tea and chill with us. You're going to love this one.
Good morning, Angela. How are you?
I'm good. It's afternoon for me, but yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Anyway, the people who listen to us, they may listen to us, on the evening as well. So good evening, everyone. Okay. Today, I'd like to share an event that happens and that brought me back to the present. It was a difficult event, to be honest. And that's what I call the defense mechanism. So let me tell you the story. I went for the grocery stores, and then the way that I need to park inside in the basement. And so I did my groceries. Everything was fine. It's not a chore for me. It's like shopping. I like spending my money, and so even on food, it's fine. I'm happy with that.
I'm exactly the same.
Oh, that's great, because you ask my husband, he hates that. Like, he would never come with me at the groceries because he hates that. It's definitely not a pleasure for him. Anyway,
fun.
I know, right?
Not many people think that, but I completely agree.
Okay, cool. So, when I get out, so the exit of that basement, it's really bad, because you have two exits to put on your ticket to the machine to pay for your parking, right? And then after that, these two will become one lane to exit.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's pretty bad. And in this case, I was having this, so please everyone don't judge me, because I believe it happens to everyone, but maybe not. Please everyone don't judge me. So what happened is that I could see that the car in front of me was getting slow. So I decided to go to the other lane, thinking that I would be faster. So the thing is that she was slower, but somehow, she managed to put a ticket at the same time as me. But as she was slow, I was sure that I would be faster. So then I was moving. And the problem is that she was probably a junior driver, I'm not sure. But she did not see me coming. Of course, I broke. I broke at that moment. And
you put the brake on.
I put the brake on. Yeah, sorry. Because it's the brake. So I thought that maybe... Okay, no, whatever. So I put the brake on. And then I started yelling in my car, "Don't you see me? I'm just right here. Don't you see me?" And then I was just crazy. Of course, the windows are closed. And then it was just like me being crazy, And then she was trying to tell me something. And she suddenly, so I was telling her, now go. And I was like this hysteric person in me, And the thing is that she's gifted. This girl is gifted, to be honest. She pulled down the window. She was trying to tell me, she was trying to tell me something that I could not get. And she pulled down the window, opened the window. So I did the same. And she was like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I am so sorry. I'm deeply sorry. And then that just pulled me back into the present moment. Because when you are like there's hystericals, like yelling at people, let's face it, you're definitely not present. You're somewhere in your anger, in your strong emotions. But the way she reacted was just like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And the thing is that I think it was that's just assumptions, but I'm not sure. But I think it was not her car because it was a big, beautiful BMW, and I could see that she was definitely a junior driver anyway. So she didn't want to scratch the car, of course. So she was, and I was just that hit me hard. My hystericals, like me wanted to express something on someone, just brought me back and said, what am I doing to that person? Why am I aggressing her? Why? I just because I was egoically, trying to be faster than her, I was just like, that was a slap on my face, to be honest. That was just a slap on my face. And I realized we all have these patterns in us. Are we, or am I the only one?
No, totally. Sarah, this is so interesting that you're saying this. Did this happen yesterday?
No, actually, it happened. I think it happens before I go back on. I went on holiday, so it was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Because I had such a bad day yesterday. Not day, only afternoon. And it's such a similar story to that. So maybe I will show it,
Yeah.
say it, not exactly the same, but I got stuck in my anger and my triggeredness, and I actually couldn't get out. And it was and that very rarely happens to me. And I was able to go to the watch up and see myself, but I actually wasn't able to pull myself out of it, which is really interesting, which very rarely happens to me. And I'm still trying to figure out the lesson I had to learn from yesterday, but I'll go through it. Why not? Just,
Yes,
put
yes,
my
please,
garbage in the
please.
table too. Okay, so I'd had a fine day, but it all started with I had to pick up my son, right? And we had an appointment to go to. And I do have an issue with him. And this is, I know we haven't spoken human design yet, but for anyone who knows, he's a manifester. So he's got a very big energy. And I try to let him be as big and bossy and as much himself as I can. But there is one thing that we energetically rub each other against, and because I have a reasonably strong personality, very strong, um, is I hate waiting for him. Like literally, he lives on his own time zone. And I really like to be on time. I'm not early. I think you know this about me. I'm not early. I'm generally not late. Sometimes with us, I am only on time.
Yeah.
And so I picked him up, and he was with someone else and had to get his bag out of the car. They were already late. And I could see him, and I had my car on and I was waiting. And he's just rifling through the back, had some worksheet he wanted to bring. And I'm like, it's time to go, time to come. I'm in a hurry. And so when he completely disrespects time for me, oh, actually, I'm going to see a pattern here already. It just sets me off in the wrong way because I'm like, you're a child, like I don't wait for you. You're constantly making me wait for you, but I'm not supposed to wait for you. Like you're old enough, you have to come. Like I don't wait for you. Oh man, it just sent me onto a different plane of like literally it's the one thing I really struggle with. So I was in a pretty bad mood in that car. And I didn't want to take it out on him, but I was just sitting in my bad moodness. And then in Melbourne at the moment, but I did say to him, like, you know the rule. I don't wait for you. Like, you come. And he's like, it was 0.1 seconds. It was much longer than that. So, okay. So then we are going to this appointment, right? And Melbourne is just, the traffic is just insane at the moment. And particularly where we are, there's a massive roadworks. And I was not going to get to this appointment on time. So I called them and I said, I'm sorry, I haven't allowed for this roadworks. I'm not going to get there on time. And then the receptionist says to me, oh, that's okay. So my appointment was at 4:30. She's like, if you can get here by 4:45, still come. And I'm like, are you serious? Because I literally can't get there until according to Google Maps, I should be able to get there by then. She's like, no, come. And in my mind, I actually didn't want to go because I'm not in the right mood and I was happy to cancel. And she was like, come. So I was like, okay. So we literally fight traffic for about 45 minutes to get there. Okay. And I get there. And it's a chiropractic appointment for my son. Now, actually, this chiropractor is often late, okay, which really annoys me. And we had another thing to get back to this side of town for. So we're there and we're waiting, and she doesn't come into the room until 5 o'clock. So that's half an hour later than my appointment was. She doesn't know that I was 15 minutes late. That doesn't matter. She's done this to me before. And I was just wandering over to the reception to be like, we've got to go. Where is she? And she's like, oh, you can ask her. And then she comes out of the room. And I'm like, okay, well, you're late. And she's like, I've got to wash my hands due to COVID and blah, blah, blah. We come in the room and I actually have, because you and I work, like we're professionals, and part of being a professional is managing your time.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
Honestly, Sarah, I was on a different plane. I could see myself, but I couldn't bring myself back. I didn't do any tools. I chose not to. I did when I got home. But yeah, I was in my anger. Let's be honest. And people disrespecting my time. And I did have to get home because we had someone coming here. So I just couldn't let it go. And she came into the room and I was like, you're half an hour late. And so she's a very spiritual and like all energetic sort of chiropractor, and her and I really relate on this. And she's actually into human design, and we talked about it last time, but she's constantly late and she's just like super airy fairy, I'm in the moment. But she has like this pretty, very expensive and thriving practice. And I was like, I'm sorry, you're half an hour late. You've disrespected my time, and you've done it before. And I tried really hard to get here. And she's like, I'm sorry, Angela, I was in an appointment, and if someone cries or if someone does something, I'm just going to stay. And on this occasion, they were late, which is why the receptionist told me to. And she wouldn't take any responsibility. I mean, she's like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you don't understand what's going on in my practice. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm the client, and time management is part of your job. And it's not 5 minutes, which coaches we often, but you have to allow for that. And she said, well, when you're coming here, you have to allow a huge amount of time because I will never run on time. And I'm like, I already know you don't run on time, but I'm sorry, your appointments only go to 4:30. So it's not like you don't work till 7. My son is at school till 3:30. Like literally, what am I meant to do? I'm getting angry now. And so we wouldn't let go. And I was like, as a professional, part of my job, I deal with people too. I deal with people's emotions. And on occasion, if it's something really deep, but you can finish it up in like 15 minutes. She's always late. And the thing is, she didn't let me know. It's like her in her room is sacred, and she won't even let the next client know. And I was like, well, I can give you a suggestion. You should at least let your client know so I can, because, it might be my open root center in human design, but I hate being late. And she's putting the pressure on me. And I was like, as a professional, perhaps you should at least let your clients know so I can leave. In the past, I've actually had to leave. So she's about half an hour away from me. I go there and then I leave. The last time I was there, I left, which had already taken an hour out of my time, and my son didn't get his appointment. So anyway, in the end, she wouldn't take responsibility that she was disrespecting my time and and she was just like, oh, I can't work now. And she just left. And my son's there like going, what happened? And I was like, good, I don't think this is not going to work for me. And it was really, really, in my opinion, super unprofessional. Like she really dismissed how I felt. She said the words like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you don't know what's going on the back here. The receptionist should have calmed you down. I was like, the receptionist, she really tried to blame it on the receptionist. She said, because of COVID, I don't have, professional staff. Like, you don't know what's going on here. I was like, I'm so sorry, lady. Like, don't give me your excuses. No receptionist is going to win back half an hour of my time. And so, but she left, making it seem as if I was wrong. I mean, I'm the client. I was shocked. And she actually lives right near my mum. So my son was like, cool, can we go visit grandma? And I was like, yes. And my mum really calmed me down and she thought it was really good. And, because I get this time management thing from my mum, like, you can set I wouldn't even need a clock. My mum is always on time. She's very reliable, has never let us down as kids. And so I actually think it's really important. And on one occasion, on that time that I left, I've still kept up with her because, the receptionist was like, I can't interrupt her. I don't know when she's coming out. So I always have an appointment after that. So I left. It has at least been 5 times since I've been there. So it's not, just one unusual time that a client had a breakdown or something. And the other thing is she really doesn't spend long with my son. Her appointments, should be like an hour. She just sort of rushes us through and it seems, so anyway, from a professional perspective, she really lost my respect and I'm happy I don't have to go there anymore. But whoa, I couldn't take myself out of it. So it's a very similar thing. But it wasn't nice that I suppose I don't know if you can teach me what a lesson is here, but both my son and the chiropractor disrespected my time within an hour of each other. And it was, yeah, really full on. I was really unhappy.
Yeah, the thing is, what I feel is probably that, I mean, your value, you the time management is part of your value. You appreciate that, and I agree. I mean, for the time for the time thing, I totally agree with that. The doctor of my kids, the pediatrician of my kids is the same. It's like always 2 hours late, 2 hours late, and because he has emergency, because the pediatrician here is in the hospital, and so you always have emergency. The thing is that we just here and we wait. So mm, I'm quite of lucky because I have not been to see him like for the last 3 years or 4 years, 3 years, 3 years because it was when my baby girl was born, and since then I did not go back. Um, but it's always like this. It's a pain for those doctors, where because they are doctors, they have patients, so they allow themselves to be late. And
I think a doctor in a hospital is different than a chiropractor in a private practice. Do you know what I mean? And the way she said, she's like, whenever you come here, you need to allow much more time. But so exactly why do I book a 4:30 appointment then? Do you know, like, what you need to do is stop booking in so many clients, and which is what I do with my coaching practice. There is no way I have a 4 o'clock appointment and then a 5 o'clock coaching. Do you know what I mean? I myself need a little bit of time between both. And that some coaching sessions can finish at 40 minutes and you're lucky. But some are hard to wrap up by an hour, and it's part of learning your career. And she's not a new chiropractor. She has her own private practice. She knows what she's doing. So I can't get over how unprofessional it was. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's her who needs to have less clients, a longer time span, so she's not rushed, and she's not, just having clients waiting around all the time.
yeah.
In my opinion, yeah.
For the doctor at the hospital, yes, of course they are in hospital, so they have emergency. But I know that my pediatrician does not is not always on emergency, and I know that because they have a very nice system here where they have a nurse attached to them, and the nurse is here to try to communicate with the clients, where with the patients when they are when the doctor is late, and she knows me, so she was like, well, he arrived late this morning, so then after that it got delay and delay and delay, and he loves talking a lot. So you enter, it can be done in 5 minutes, especially for the vaccine, right? It can be done in 5 minutes because I'm not talking much. I'm not asking any questions because I I always questions their belief into medicines, right? And they want to convince me for something that I truly don't believe. So anyway, so I can literally stay there for 5 minutes, and they know he likes showing me YouTube videos about this special disease that he mentioned during the vaccine, which I didn't even ask questions about it. And so he likes doing this kind of stuff, which probably when you are with him, it's like cool. I feel that, he's making my time worth it. But that's why also it gets late for all the clients. And sometimes when you have, I always book the first client in the first slot in the morning, because I know that if you take the last one in the afternoon, then it will be definitely cancelled. Definitely. So you have no choice to take the first one. So every time I'm saying, that's the first slot in the morning, the next one that you got. Oh, it's in 15 days. Yeah, I take this one. It's gonna be fine. And so even by then, he's not there. He's not there. He's just arrived late. That's it. So I'm not saying that all doctors are the same. Not at all. But my naturopath, for instance, she's completely different. She's always on time. Always. And she loves discussing. We can talk about life for many stuff. But she's always on time. I don't have to wait with her. It's good. It feels good. But anyway, so the triggers, definitely, if we come back to the triggers and how to get out of it, as you said, there are triggers that are much more in us, deep in us, that we don't. The thing is that how would you get this trigger resolved? What would be the midway that you can find in yourself and that they can find? Because for those who really value times like you do, you know that people around you may not be the same way. So first they need to know that you are always on time. If you don't tell them, they may not guess or appreciate that. So if you stress them on, I'm always on time, then maybe, they're going to be like, okay, I need to be on time. And rather than being 30 minutes late, they can be, like 15 minutes late, which is still late. I know.
5 or 10, I always allow. Half an hour completely changes your whole night.
I know. I remember, that reminds me, one of the souvenirs I have, one of the memories I have when I was a kid. I had that friend, and she was always like an hour late. And again, that feels really disrespectful, really, really. And then I remember one day I just set up my boundaries. And rather than having a conversation about you're late, and I'm here waiting for you like in the street, I just left. And I said, you know what, you call me when you're here, and eventually I will show up. But that was the thing, is that at the end of the day, it's like, you need to set up your boundaries. So what I really like about you, Angela, is you call people on their shit. Seriously. You call in to tell her, you're late. And you did that to me few times. I can't remember with what. But the first time, it was just like, huh. I mean, the first time you told me something like that, I can't remember. It was not because I'm late, because I'm rarely late. Or at least I inform you when I really can't do it,
But
or
you
I'm
inform
late.
me. So that's
Yes.
it
Makes a difference.
And it's a level of integrity that you have to have, after the age of 30. This woman's like 50 or what have you. She just had zero integrity. And I think it's about integrity. It clearly must be one of my values. It doesn't fall under one of my 4 values, but it is just. So tell me this, because, it's very rare that I will get myself into a situation, like I can't even think of the last time, where she stormed out. So she just stormed out and refused to serve us. Like, I can't imagine a professional doing that. But that is showing me that there's something happening in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, this has been an argument, and I haven't been in an argument for, I can't even imagine how long, years. So what do you what do you think I should take from this? Because it's been half an hour late. And it was the excuses that she was giving. And it was that she was putting the responsibility on me. Like, if you come here, you know, you need to, I don't know, expect to be half an hour, 45 minutes late. I mean, the last time I left after half an hour because I legitimately didn't have any time left. So, is there anything I'm missing? Is this my fault? Is it hers? Because if I have spoken to you, for example, we never had an argument, or you never turned off the computer and went, pow, I don't want to ever see you again. Do you know what I mean? So she just up and left, has not, contacted me to say sorry, or, that's the end of our ongoing relationship. Nothing. Like, am I missing something? Or
Okay, so my intake on that one is more like, okay, we are in a coaching environment, the coaching industry, the personal development journey and stuff like that. And when we have that, we created, by becoming a coach, we created this new pattern of trying to give a rationale to everything and take our own responsibilities and see what is going out of this moment. Did I see right, did I see wrong? And sorry, my kids are around. So trying to find what you're missing. My intake on that one is that sometimes event, it's going to teach you a lesson, and the lesson, what I feel, it's the only thing is that time is valuable for you, and respect and integrity, it just reinforces your values. Does that make you a wrong person? No. Did you make something wrong? No, you didn't. It's that you set up your boundaries. To be honest, in this event, I would be proud of yourself. I mean, I'm proud of yourself, but you should be proud of
I'm
yourself.
proud of myself.
Saying, this is not acceptable in my life. So to me, you're not missing any point. You made clear, and knowing you were not aggressive. You did not become hysterical like I've been in my car. You've been actually pretty calm and collected while you told her you're late, you're seriously late, and then she's trying to make excuses or whatever. Fine, we're not trying even to find any excuse for her or any reason why she's acting this way. I think we don't care. We don't have always in every event to always find what you're missing. The only thing you're missing, nothing here. To be honest, you reacted correctly. You told her you're late. I would have not have been bold to do that, but this is what that's a really quality that I admired with you. It's that your boundaries are clear. Your boundaries are clear, and that I really like it. And then you've been clear with her. You did not. I don't know what I could have done. I've been there. I would have not even get the respect with myself and my time to tell her that is not acceptable. Even if deep down I feel it, so you expressed yourself. I get that, but it's not the first time that you tell her that she's late.
I think once before I left, and other times I've mentioned, like, I don't think she's ever been on time, to be perfectly honest with you. And I've been seeing her for over a year. I actually feel very relieved that we don't have to go there anymore. She was a brilliant chiropractor. I will give her that much. But in the end, I felt like my son didn't need to see her anymore. And this is always the thing. There's always underlying things as well. So the other thing is she doesn't, I'm only angry at her because, I was late, but I called and I was like, I'm happy to cancel, and they said still come. It's that she didn't have any responsibility. It's what I teach my son. Do you know what I mean? If you hit a kid, you don't say why. Perhaps he called you fat or something. You don't say that. You say, yes, I hit them. And then that calms the conversation down. You take your part and then you can explain why. You have to say hitting is never, it's not that he does that, but I am really teaching him to take responsibility because I think it's it's something in our day and age. Clearly, this woman still wasn't taking responsibility. But what was bubbling underneath as well is I felt that, I'm paying $100, I think, for an hour. And sometimes she'll just see him for 15 minutes most of the time. And sometimes my babysitter often, the reason we've kept going actually is because a lot of the time my babysitter will take him. And the babysitter, like, she didn't even do anything. And I was like, yeah, I don't think she is. Do you know what I mean? um, because she's working with his nervous system, which is something interesting for us to talk about. But yeah, so underneath, I already didn't think she was giving us a good service, to be honest. And then, this on top of it.
So to be honest, this one I would not even try to find what you miss or anything. I think everything happened, it happens, and it just reinforces your value in your core. Then after that would be another conversation with your son who is triggering you in this way, because your son is your son. I mean, is part of your values anyway, because he represents so many aspects of the value that you really have. So the thing is that what is the trigger with your son? Have you ever had a discussion with him about time management? Yeah.
I swear to God, he doesn't understand time. Even a little bit, his teachers get frustrated. My son lives in my son's world, and in some ways, and we should have an episode on manifestors, by the way, because he's a manifestor energy type, and he's actually supposed to bowl through life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying as much to allow him to keep his power, because manifestors are really powerful. And I know this about him. It's not nice for me to live with. In some ways, we're not a brilliant energetic match. Although I believe that, you are, in some ways, I can see him and all of my gifts are really good for him. But he's supposed to be energetically big in a room, and he's supposed to not care what other people think. And I try as much to allow him to keep his power, because the conditioning from the outside world, particularly his mother, is go smaller. Any manifestors listening to this will really resonate with that. Once you have been made smaller and, get rid of your power is too much for us, you're too big for us, you're too full on, you're too whatever, the manifestor shrinks. And even, as a human design reader, I find it really hard to, help and encourage. And I've actually never had an ongoing client that I encourage to come out of like a manifestor smallness to start stepping into their bigness, because that's almost impossible. I think it's a hard journey. It's not impossible, but if you are born as a big person and someone shrinks you down, it's really hard to expand back to your natural power. So at least energetically, I know that he's supposed to be like that. He's not supposed to care about me and my timeline, because that's how he manifests things in his world. That's how he hangs on to his power. And his energetic aura is actually very protective of him. So when I'm angry at him and I'm like, literally, I don't like you right now, you disrespected my time, I'm not impressed by you, they have this aura, kind of like a shield that bounces it off, which I really love about him as well, because he doesn't take things too personally, because he's not meant to. He's legitimately meant to repel the people that are not for him. He's supposed to live in his power. So when I am angry at him for being his manifestor self, I know that my anger and my dislike of him doesn't really affect him. So it's interesting when you understand the energetic dynamics in your household. So it's hard for me to want to teach him to change himself. So I don't. Do you know what I mean? That's my value, and I hold my space, and I say, it is something that I truly dislike about that child, but I want him to be himself, and I don't want to shrink him down. So I sit in my discomfort and I allow him, I try to teach him to respect where I'm coming from, but I don't try to smallman him.
Okay, so this is your action towards your son, but what are the actions that you can take to reduce that discomfort?
Well, I feel like that awareness, it very rarely happens anymore. So it will always happen when we're leaving the front door. So I will, because I have to lock it. So that's pretty much the only place in our life where it happens. So I'll be at the front door. Come on, come on. I don't wait for you. I don't, but here I am waiting for you and getting in the car. And it was actually really, and getting out of the car is, these are the three times it constantly happens. Because even when we got to the chiropractor and he's like, oh, look, we got there on time. I'm out of the car. It's my job to lock the car. He's in the car. Like, he just doesn't, he's just like, oh, yeah, chilling around. I'm like, dude, I'm waiting for you again. Get out of the car. And he's like, oh, okay, sorry. Like, he's so totally doesn't do things at the same time that I do them. So honestly, I don't know what to do. It's just, in the end, I have to wait for him because it's my responsibility to lock the front door. And it's my responsibility to lock the car, and it's my responsibility to drive. So I can't drive off until he's gotten in. But in every other way, it's kind of okay. It's just at those real tipping points that super annoying. But anyway, a lot of the time he walks to school now, so I don't have to, walk with him anymore as he's getting older. But yeah, oh man, I just re-stressed myself out. But
What about changing just the fact that he is locking the door? You will still have to wait for him, but changing, the things that you do. It's just a suggestion, of course, but trying to change the patterns that it's implemented, because you have to lock the door, you have to lock the car, and just don't lend him the key and say, you lock the car, I'm going there, waiting in the waiting room. So he has the responsibility to lock the car, and then he will be like, oh, maybe I should do something there, and maybe he's gonna act.
I try that.
But it's just a suggestion. Why not try and change the pattern itself rather than changing your emotions and feeling? Changing him, don't change him. Just change the patterns that you do on a consistent basis.
That's a good idea. Somehow within our day-to-day life, as he's gotten older, we've really figured it out. And I try to give him as much autonomy as possible. But yeah, changing the patterns, I guess that is the only choice. Because I understand it, and yet I still will find myself in frustration when I wait for him.
Give it a try. If there is something that I know has been in my family is, and it's a men stuff. So, I mean, at least in my family, but I think is that, those people who leave the door open. They open a cabinet, they take something, the coffee or the cup or whatever it is in the cabinet, and then they take it, and then they leave the room, and the door is open. Do you have this in your household as well, or not?
Not so much. Sometimes people put back empty things. I really hate it. Like if there's a jar of cookies and they put back with like one cookie, or sometimes even empty. But not leaving the cupboard doors and stuff open. No, don't have that.
So it's in me, but I have seen some videos, funny videos on internet as well, where people relate to that, and I was relating to that video anyway. So it's just like, okay, let me just open, and then why bothering, maybe sometimes tomorrow I will come back to that cabinet. I was just like, what are you doing? And this is something that is for my husband, and then there is my kids now doing exactly the same, and the boys. And yesterday, out of nowhere, so they can come in and out from, we have two entrances, so they can choose. And but normally one is locked by the downstairs door where you need a tag, and they don't have the tag. I don't give them the tag. But somehow, I don't know, they came in from the back door, then they get out from the front door. They did not lock the door. They didn't even close the door. Locking the door, I don't mind, because I know we're in a safe space, but just closing the door. So the door stay there open to anyone. It's just frustrating. It's just like that, and they are not here, so I can't tell them because they disappeared. And I don't like giving them lessons on stuff that they did like an hour ago or 2 hours ago, because for them it has no meaning. So I need to find a way here to tell them that closing the door is actually, an important thing.
Well, you can set up a reward system for those kind of things. So every time, and I actually do think, I know you're trying to teach, behavior change in the moment, but actually it can work afterwards. Like you can say, I found the door left open. This is something that really upsets me. And can you try, to every time you close the door, there's going to be a reward in it for you. And so I'm really about charts and stuff with kids. It really works when they're younger, to reward them, and not like necessarily with food, but with 5 minutes extra screen time, or and then that's how you change behavior.
That's funny that you're telling me this, because I have a friend. So my elder he has these habits of coming into my bed and ending up the night with us in a bed, and he's doing this for very long. And I remember by the age of 5 and 6, I had that friend. She told me about these things, which is the rewarding, like get a piece of paper and then tell them that for 21 nights they need to stay in their beds, and you reward them with the star. And once they get 21 days in a row, then you allow them to buy something, or you bring them to their favorite place or something, the favorite playground and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's try that. So people who are listening, it does not work with every kid. They didn't care at all about the rewards, and I make it the rewards bigger and then bigger and then
because
bigger. It was just like,
Sarah, you need to make it something they really care about.
I told them, the thing is that I asked them to choose something that they really like, something that I always say no about, and they're gonna get it. They chose themselves.
But it also, then you might have to come back to the fact that it's you that they want more of.
So I ended up, I to be honest, I gave up. I gave in this process. I was just like, you know what? Okay, come in my bed. And I've been lucky somehow. So changing places helps a little bit. And with my second, I don't have much issue. He's pretty independent. He likes sleeping alone. He has no problem. He's not feeling scared. Doesn't need the lights. He's good with that. Sleeping is like, you put him in bed, close his eyes, 2 minutes after he's already sleeping. My daughter is similar to him. She has similar sleeping habits, which is good. My daughter, sometimes she's gonna wake up, but she's 3 years old, so I'm thinking like, she's still small. Even though she's sleeping with the brother, she will still need me. So it's fine. But my eldest is just like, no. He's scared of everything. He needs lights. He needs the door open. And then in the middle of the night, he will join us. So it's still happening like 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes we spot him at night. So he wakes up. He wakes us. And then we're like, go back to your bed. And then he's going back to his bed, and then he's finishing there. But he understood that if he doesn't know, if he can't wake him, if he doesn't wake us up, then he knows, So he's sneaking into the bed, just making sure he does not wake up us, and he's there. And then it's in the morning where we move, and like, fuck, he's here, we can't. So this is something I don't care. I bought a big bed anyway at the end of the day. So, but it's just for him, I wish that he would have, because this is what I call sleep disruption, and I don't like that. When my sleep is disrupted, I can feel it in the morning, even if it's just a fraction of a second that I have been awake, by a bad dream, or by my kids coming into my bed, and then I fall asleep back straight away. My sleep has been disrupted, and that is really bad. So which means that for him, he's creating the habit of having a disrupted sleep, and I don't like that. So I really, that's why I'm trying to find, and I've tried to hypnotize him as well with his um, approval as well. Um, but he told me, you can't. I can't be hypnotized. And I was like, okay. And he
I'll,
was resisting. I could not hypnotize him. It was just like frustrating.
I'll tell you what I did when my son used to be afraid of sleeping. Is we would just sit in bed. So I lie down with him even to this day before he goes to sleep, because it's
Yeah.
actually, the best bonding time for your children. But when he used to be afraid, because he used to be afraid of someone breaking in, because when he was younger, we used to live in an apartment and now we live in a house. And then I think at school, and maybe even like not one of our neighbors, but one of our friends or something, he heard a couple of conversations around break-ins, like one of his school friends and someone else that we know. And we were at like a lunch or whatever, and I was like, stop talking, but he already heard it because, he was just paranoid about this. But all I used to do was sit in bed with him and just hold him and say, I am safe. And then I would say, you say it. And we would say it up to 10 times. I am safe. And he's like, I am safe. This is stupid. I am safe. I am safe. And and he ended up getting over it, because there's something underneath there that's causing your son to come in. So try that. It's actually really powerful.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna try that. And starting from tonight, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, it's good. It actually just even makes you feel better. I used to really like that.
I should try that.
It definitely made him feel better. And after, a certain amount of time, it worked.
How we came from a conversation from defense mechanism, anger, to sleeping advice for your kids. I love this podcast. I'm not sure if you all feel the same, but I really appreciate that, and I really wish that you get valuable tips for your life.
And just shared experience, you know what I mean? I'm sure people can sort of, and these are things that people don't really talk about, but
It's true.
it's life. It happens.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Angela. That was a beautiful episode. And I see you next week. Bye bye.
On time, Sarah.
I'm always on time.
I'm just making a joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and every time you listen, we truly appreciate it. And if you would like to follow me or learn more about my work or get in contact with me, please go to my website, which is angelajanecoaching.com.
And if you want to know more about my work, you can go on sarahmeng.com. All the details are going to be listed in a comment below. You can also follow us on social media, Instagram or Facebook, where we are sharing our daily tips.
Bye.
Hope to see you soon.